Hi, my name is Matthew Jackson, and today I would like to install a copy of VirtualBox and a virtual machine on this copy of Windows 10. All right, so before I start, I'd like to get a couple items out of the way. First, I'd like to start up a task manager, so I'm just going to right click on this bottom black bar and select task manager, open it up, and I'm going to keep my attention focused on the Ethernet performance and maybe a little on CPU as well. But we're going to download some fairly large files, so I want to make sure the Ethernet is clipping right along. The next thing we need to do is just check and make sure on this machine that virtualization technology is turned on. This is an AMD Ryzen 2700 CPU, so I'm looking for the AMD virtualization technology in system information. So I can just click on the Windows icon, and I'll just type in system information. And as it pops up on the wrong screen, of course. So I'll move it over, arrange it a bit. Sure enough, I have Ryzen 7 2700 8-core processor. So, yep, Hyper-V, there we go. And I have Hyper-V enabled, so that's the AMD virtualization technology. The Intel virtualization technology is VT-X. So instead of seeing Hyper-V down here, if this were an Intel CPU, I would see VT-X. And I want that virtualization technology on for VirtualBox to work. Okay, so I'm good there. Make myself a tiny little note that I have 8 cores and 32 gigabytes of installed memory on this machine. All right. So again, just make a note of that in my head. We're now ready to actually download a copy of VirtualBox and install it. So I'm going to open up a browser, and I'm just going to search for download VirtualBox. There it is. And this is going to be a download from www.virtualbox.org. I click, I select a Windows host, that's what this machine is. At this point, I'm tempted to mention the VirtualBox extension pack. If I download the VirtualBox extension pack, I get USB 2.0, I get network boot, some other goodies like that. However, there's a big badness here. And the drawback is the licensing. VirtualBox Personal Use and Evaluation License. The VirtualBox extension pack is not an actual open source project. So I'm not going to download that. I'm not going to download the extension pack. I'm only going to download the VirtualBox binary for Windows. It downloads pretty quickly, and it'll even install pretty quickly as well. So there, we just downloaded it. I'm going to click on it to open it up. Will it open in the right window? No, it won't. So it opened in my other window here. The install process is pretty straightforward. We're asked to accept the defaults, and the defaults are fine in our installation. So I'll accept the regular defaults. It's going to place the location in Program Files, Oracle, VirtualBox. Yeah, I'm fine with that. It'll create a collection of shortcut menus, one on the desktop, one in the Start menu. It'll create file associations. Yep, we're okay with that. Click Next. As the installation process carries on, it will bounce the network connections, so I'll lose my network connection for just an instant and it'll come right back. Yes, I'm aware of this. And the installation can begin. It's fairly quick. It usually takes about a minute or so on this machine to install VirtualBox. See a little blip on the Ethernet. We see a little blip as the download was made. Little blip as the installation did its thing with the CPU. We'll go ahead and start the copy of VirtualBox right now. And we should have, actually it starts really quickly and it hides on me. If you notice down at the bottom in the little black bar, I have a copy of a thing that looks kind of like a cube. And this is my copy of VirtualBox running behind the copy of Chrome. So this is just my empty VirtualBox manager, right? So we can now download a virtual machine and install it and spin it up. And in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and close this copy of VirtualBox. I'm going to return to my browser, and I'm going to download a virtual machine that I have. Now this is typically what I'll do is I'll send you students a link, and the link will be to a virtual machine that is specially built for your class. In this case, the VM that I put out there for myself is just a pretty straightforward one. It is where did I put it? http://bit.ly/ and this is going to be mint 19 JEI. It's got Java, Eclipse, and IntelliJ in it. So this is most likely going to take a few minutes to download. It's an OVA file. It's a virtual appliance is the way these are packaged up. So I'm just going to download this virtual appliance. Notice it's going to be about 5.5 gigabytes. So I'm going to download it, and this is going to be a direct download. I want to pull it right off the internet onto this machine. Keep an eye on Ethernet traffic now. All right, now that that's downloaded, we can open up a copy of the VirtualBox Manager again and import this appliance. So I will now minimize, actually just close my copy of Chrome. We'll go ahead and open up our VirtualBox. So I've just opened the VirtualBox application up again. Now we'll keep an eye on the CPU. I'm going to go to File and Import Appliance from the local file system. We'll pick in the Downloads section. So this is going to be Downloads. And there's a copy of Mint. This is the file that we just downloaded, the OVA virtual appliance. I'll just click through Next. And remember, as our first step, we checked and made sure how much the virtualization was turned on. We saw how much memory we had and how many CPUs, how many processors we had. Well, when I import a virtual appliance, I can change the defaults that the virtual appliance, the OVA file, was saved with. So you can see that originally I saved this virtual appliance with only one CPU in mind. Well, I have 8. So I'm going to up that to 8. This will hopefully improve my performance when the appliance actually is running. RAM, well, I thought only about 2 gig would be available when I saved the virtual appliance, but I know I've got 32. So I'm going to up this to, I don't know, let's go with 8192, 8 gigabytes. Somehow that feels like the math is wrong, but I'm going to say that's about 8 gigabytes. I'm also going to come down, and I like to do this for new virtual machines when they're imported. I will go to the MAC address policy and generate a new MAC address for all network adapters. That seems to be the safest way to import a new virtual machine. So I always check that. All right, and now I'm going to click import. This will take about a minute too. All right, so there. We now have a copy of a virtual appliance set up on this machine, on this fresh install of Oracle VM VirtualBox. I'll start the virtual appliance up by right-clicking on the actual entry, and I can click Start, or I could also just double-click on it. That'll start it as well. I'll do it the polite way, a normal start. And of course it picks the wrong display to start on. There we go. It looks a little odd when we first boot up. There we go. Now this is my copy of Linux Mint running in a virtual machine on this Windows 10 computer. I will go ahead and click the login screen, or the login entry, and it'll again pop over to the wrong display. Move that back over here. There we go. And I get my session. So this is success. All right. A little further on, we can maximize the screen. I'll go to, let's see, this is going to be full screen mode. And of course it picks the wrong virtual display first. So I will move this over to the correct virtual display. And that's going to be virtual screen 3 for me. And it should move right over. There we go. And when we meet up in class, I'll show you how to move these screens around and how to deal with the full screen. There's a host key, which is by default the right control key. We can move in and out of full screen mode and swap around functions through the keyboard or through keyboard shortcuts, typically using host and then some keystrokes. For a quick little test here, and this is beyond what we really need to do just to install the VM. We can spin up a copy of Eclipse. Just double click on the Eclipse shortcut, and sure enough, we have Eclipse running in a Linux Mint instance in a virtual machine on Windows. So we can pretty much work to our heart's content in this very controlled, in this very known environment. I'll go ahead and close this down. Simply log out. I can close out Linux Mint by shutting it down. When I shut down the virtual machine, notice it powers off the virtual machine here. So in the VirtualBox Host Manager, it actually acts as if we shut the virtual machine down. And then that's that. So there you go. I hope you have gotten some value out of this video. As I say, I am looking forward to coming over and giving you guys a visit. So there we are.